Hi and welcome to Whisky Shared. You're watching my review of Mackmyra Jaktlycka. I'm Toby and you're watching Whisky Shared. Welcome to my review of Mackmyra Jaktlycka. The guys at Mackmyra sent me this sample to review. I'm allowed to say what I like about it in my words. I'm in no way influenced by them sending me a sample. So this is a seasonal whiskey from Mackmyra. They release a couple a year and this is their latest one. It comes out on the 2nd of September in the UK. Is available from the Mackmyra web shop and will probably be available at certain select retailers around the UK. This particular whiskey is a wine finished whiskey. So the Jaktlycka translates directly into happy hunting. Is probably a better description would be sort of foraging. Its components that give it its unique finish are wine from a producer called Grythyttan in Sweden, and the wine barrels that they finished this whiskey in have held lingonberry and blueberry wine. They finish the whiskey in those casks for a couple of months, and the whiskey itself is a combination of their spirit that's been aged for between 5 and 14 years in total. And that's also been in American oak, Swedish oak, and it's also been in Oloroso, first fill and virgin casks. So it's been in quite a selection of different casks and different sizes. And there's also a small percentage of peated whiskey or smoked whiskey that makes up this particular single malt. So, should we find out what it tastes like? On to the whiskey. Right, so before I start, I'll point out that this production spans 15,000 bottles worldwide. There's only 790 making it to the UK and it retails at £59.90. Let's have a look at the colour before I start. I'd say that's a burnished sort of colour. Let's move on to the nose. So apart from the instant flavours that are hitting my nostrils, I'm instantly picking up that sort of Mackmyra DNA, that sort of really noticeable like cereal character that Mackmyra has. It's very well rounded, but I'm picking up a sweetness, and that sweetness is like orchard fruits. There's a hint of smoke there, and then that turns to like baking spices. And there's a really nice combination of the sort of sweet and sort of sweet fruity note along with a sort of slightly spicy note. But that sort of spicy note is, I'm getting like those, it's like soft gingerbread biscuits. And then it turns a bit more creamy, like shortbread. And then I get like a creamy, like caramel note. And then there's a really strong sort of like berries, almost like raspberries or blackberries. Yeah, there's lots going on there. It's really quite nice, but I do like the fact that there's that sort of noticeable sort of Mackmyra DNA, that character that you pick up on a lot of their whiskies. So let's try it on the palate. Right, so immediately it gets quite viscous in the mouth. It gets quite oily, which is nice. And then the first thing I pick up there's a hint of smoke. It's really light, but there's a hint of smoke there. And then that becomes like charred oak. And then there's like a sort of tannic wine note. But let's have a second sip to explore those flavours further. Yeah, so after a second sip, that tannic wine is slightly drying, but it's not too sweet, but not too dry. That almost reminds me of like a medium dry red wine. It's a good balance of sweet and dryness, but there's a little bit of pepper there, a little bit of prickle on the tongue, and then I'd say there's also like a hint of tobacco, which is quite nice. Let's have another sip. Yeah, so for me, there's three things that are happening with this whiskey. There's the smoke, which is much more noticeable on the palate, but it doesn't dominate, but it is there, and it is a note that you'll pick up all the time. There's also that sort of tannic dryness from the wine, but there's also that fruity but not overly sweet sort of character that the wine finish has given this, which is quite nice. It has quite a short finish though, and the finish doesn't linger too long. There's a little bit of dry wood, not much, really sort of hint. There's a hint of pepper with that sort of heat or spice, but it doesn't really dominate. There is a sweet sort of fruitiness that lingers, and then there's that hint of smoke, which could almost be more like a charred oak at this stage on the palate. But it's quite an autumnal dram, I'd say. The fact that they've launched it now, and these are sort of berries that are being picked now at the end of summer. I think it's quite apt. It's a really fitting whiskey for Mackmyra and the way they do their seasonal drams. It's not too dissimilar from others I've had in the past, and I wouldn't say it instantly is amazing. It's nice, but it's not amazing. I think its price point at £59.90 is about right for Mackmyra, but for me, I won't be rushing out to buy one. I'll most certainly add it to my wish list, and depending on what else I'm interested in time, this will be on there, but it won't be high up the list. But it's definitely nice. If you're a fan of Mackmyra, I think you'll probably like this a lot, because it is very similar to some of their other seasonal, or even their seasonal moment range, where they've done sort of interesting wine finishes. But it's it's a good autumnal dram, and I would say that anybody drinking it wouldn't be disappointed, but it's probably not something that I'll be immediately reaching for. But it's very nice to try it, and thanks to the guys at Mackmyra for letting me try it and telling you what it's all about. So, Launcher. See you soon.
I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, why not give it a like or a comment, and please consider subscribing for more videos like this.